Hello again, it's Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, taking you into the garage area and talking to the folks that make the race cars and trucks go around the racetracks. Steve Post, lead pit road reporter for Motor Racing Network, joined by 25-time and championship-winning crew chief Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd, how are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Man, we've wrapped it up. We put another bow around the season.
Yeah, championship weekend in the rearview mirror. You got a few days you can reflect on that and look in the rearview mirror, but
just
you're going to have to look forward pretty quickly to 2024.
Just a few.
Larry Back's going to start a countdown. It's going to be less than 100 days quickly.
Monday, Sunday night, we're all hanging out. You know, the MRN crew, we like to hang out. And somebody said, 90 days from tomorrow, we'll be at the Coliseum. Yep. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. So, what we're going to do today in Crew Call, we're going to focus on the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We're going to talk to Jonathan Toney, the championship-winning crew chief, and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Rich Lushes is going to join us as well from up at ThorSport. So, let's talk a little Xfinity Series. Jonathan Toney, Stewart-Haas Racing. First and foremost, big picture, Stewart-Haas Racing, not been the kind of year that they were looking for, but on the Xfinity side, the ray of hope is that Xfinity team has performed really, really well.
Especially here in the last month and a half. I think you look at, you go back to Vegas.
Right.
Riley Herbst dominated at Vegas. Right. Really good at Homestead.
Yep.
And not quite that, but they have their organization, that Xfinity program. Cole being back in it, I think helps that program have a direction.
Yeah,
I think that's helped. I think it helps at Riley as well. And kudos to Jonathan Toney, who's been a Stewart-Haas employee forever.
Gosh. Yeah,
engineer on I think Tony's championship season. But we'll talk to him about that. But there's more guidance, I think, in this program, and it's showing the rewards. And really, Cole won on a green-white checker. But Cole was in position before those cautions happened to win the race.
Yeah.
So, but what a great ending we had.
What a race, though.
Had three of the four championship four side by side with one lap to go.
I know, and the other one right there behind him.
Yeah. I mean, really.
What a championship run! What a championship race it was, and the Xfinity Series did a really nice job with that.
Sure. Yeah, they did.
Cool
they did.
Stuff.
Now Friday night.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Truck Series.
Yeah.
We've got a new old champion. Okay, Ben Rhodes and a new old champion. A second time for Ben Rhodes and Rich Lushes. But it's when Elton Sawyer in Sunday's drivers meeting for the Cup Series said, "We saw what not to do on Friday night."
Yeah.
If they're acknowledging it in other drivers' meetings, there's no way we can dress this up. That was an ugly, ugly race on Friday night.
Yeah, it was. And I think I'm going to defend them a little bit. The trucks are so side force dependent that when you put them side by side, somebody's on your door, you spin out. We've seen that all along. And the Cup cars, when they built the next gen car, they made it very numb to side force. They made it where it's not reliant on that. The diffuser underneath the downforce. Yeah. So these cars, the Cup cars, when they get side by side, they can race that way. The trucks are like the old Cup cars where they actually get like we call it, they get sucked around because they lose all that side force if somebody comes down the door. I think it makes it where when they make a mistake, it becomes a bigger mistake.
Right.
And it's just one of those situations that we saw it and multiple times.
Double, quadruple overtime or whatever it turned out to be.
29 extra laps.
29 extra laps in a 150-lap race.
Yeah, I think it was 179 or something like that. It was crazy.
But in two of the championship contenders, Corey Heim and Carson Hocevar took care of themselves and each other. Unfortunately, Grant Enfinger got caught up in, the sentimental one there with Jeff Hensley and the GMS team and that going away. And boy, I'm telling you what, coming to that finish line, Grant Enfinger just about stole one.
Needed one more lap.
Yeah, one more lap.
They put together a great run and, it would have been a great storyline, but we ended up with a great storyline as well. Rich Lushes and Ben Rhodes putting it together again. It's just strategizing their way through. I mean, their run at Homestead put them in this position, and they did it again. And last year they just about did it with a 2-tire call. So
this is gutsy crew chief call, but it's also savvy driver call to accept it.
It's gutsy crew child. Yeah, but the driver's got to be on board.
Yeah.
And I think this pairing, I think Ben believes in Rich, and Rich understands what he can do with Ben, and he gets to be creative. And he's done it a few times and been very successful with it.
No doubt about it. So they're two-time champions. So what we're going to do, we're going to step away. When we come back, we're going to talk with Jonathan Toney from over at Stewart-Haas Racing. And later on after that, we're going to talk to Rich Lushes from up at ThorSport. Stay with us. Crew Call returns in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, talking Xfinity Series and Truck Series here on the program, and the 2023 Xfinity Series Championship winning crew chief, Jonathan Toney from Stewart-Haas Racing, joins us. Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
Doing good. How about you guys?
We're doing well. What has it been like back at the shop? What's the scene been like after you guys returned from that championship run at Phoenix?
Oh, it's been pretty neat experience here at the shop. We're just have a small group, honestly, of the guys that travel with the cars. So most of the work and most of the guys, are back here at the shop. So be able to come back yesterday and celebrate that with them. The trucks got back, and I looked outside my office, and there was probably 30 or 40 guys gathered around the car, taking their picture. Cole came in about the time the truck got here, so had a lot of people getting their picture made with Cole and the car, and just to see the excitement and the, everybody enjoying the success of all the hard work, because it takes, a lot of people to make them cars go turn left on a Saturday afternoon. So to see them be able to enjoy that, and be able to have that championship for those guys has been very, very rewarding.
And you're a long-term Stewart-Haas employee. I think I read 2003 you went to work there. You've been an engineer on the Cup side. I think won a championship in the Cup side as an engineer. To crew chief in an Xfinity car this year, and talk about what's different there, and the accomplishments of winning your first season as a leader of an Xfinity program.
Yeah, I think I talked to Steve on Saturday, and we talked about how it's a long way to move across to that other seat on the side of the toolbox. You definitely worry about a whole lot more. I've said I worry about a lot of things now that I didn't even used to think about. So that's. I guess that kind of comes along with the job, but it's been a great place to work. I say, back to the Haas CNC days before it became Stewart-Haas, they're the first ones to pay me to be able to chase my dream, and something I always wanted to do. And so I'll forever be indebted to Joe Custer and Booty Barker at that time, and those guys that gave me an opportunity to come here. And then when Darian Grubb come along, to be able to work with him, with Tony Stewart, and then to be able to go chase a championship on the Cup side. It's just, 20 years ago, if you'd have told me that this was going to be possible, I was just lucky felt very fortunate to be able to get paid to work on race cars and to be able to experience the success that we experienced here. I mean, it's beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm truly, truly blessed to be part of such a great group of people and a great organization.
You mentioned Joe Custer, and this goes back to the Haas CNC days. What does it mean to you then to give Joe's boy Cole, and for Cole to be the driver that you win the championship with? I cannot imagine. That has got to be extremely rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. There again, it's what hard to me imagine that little 5-year-old kid with his hilly shoes come rolling down a ramp at the racetrack, and that to think that someday that I'd be crew chief in his car. I mean, that's just crazy to even think that would have been possible 20 years ago this time. But yeah, it's very rewarding. Joe's always been very, very good to me, always been very fair. He's always, we talked about this opportunity last year, about this time last year, about the opportunity to potentially do that. And of course, it's incredibly honoring for Joe to trust me, because I've got kids of my own, and, I don't trust very many people with them. So I definitely get that side of it. And so to be able to, for Joe to put that confidence in me to go do that, and then, to be able to go out and win this championship with Cole, I couldn't have think of a better driver for me personally to be able to work with to go win an Xfinity championship, or any championship for that matter, to see that rewarding and to see the happiness on Joe's face, man. It just makes all those late nights and all those days sleeping in a motel away from home makes it worth it for sure to be able to go out and do that with these guys.
And talk about Cole coming back. He made it to Cup, won at Cup, had a tough year, and kind of reset back to Xfinity. And you guys could put back together and had a lot of success in Xfinity, but a couple years removed from that, coming back to it, kind of found his stride again. And really, I felt like in the playoffs, you guys as a whole, Riley Herbst dominated it at Las Vegas. I think really strong at Homestead as well. You guys, this program's continuing to march its way forward into what I felt like it was back when Cole was in it, a very dominant program.
I think for sure, we, definitely having Cole come back. I made mention the other night, we're seeing this young man turn into not only a good race car driver, a great race car driver. We've always, we've seen the talent there for sure for several years, but he's turned into such a great leader. And such a, that's going to be one of his strong qualities moving forward is his leadership. And I think that has helped propel this, this Xfinity program. We've had some, Richard Boswell was a very, very key, vital part of this Xfinity program. And this year he had the opportunity to go cup racing. And so, we've been able to kind of carry on what, Boswell and even Jeff Mandarin and Mike Shiplett that was here before what they had started building. So we had a very, very strong foundation here, that me and Davin's been able to build on. And I think you've just seen things just kind of everything's just kind of come together right here at the right time of the year for both teams. And, we're very excited about the future too. Not just this championship, but what's going to come next year and the years to come. We're very, very excited about it and looking forward to it.
How important, and I've the example that I've used a lot over the course of time is it seemed like the last 2 years on the Cup side where you saw the 6 car, you saw the 17. So if they were 17th, if one was 17th, the other one was 18th. If one was 3rd, the other one was 4th. How important is it to have companion teams like the 98 and the 00? How important is it to see these teams now performing and feeding off from each other at the same tier in the Xfinity garage?
It's invaluable. You can't put a price tag on that for sure. You don't underestimate when that 98 goes out and wins a race that's not motivation for everybody, right? To not only that, but it's gives you that you're on the right track, that you're not off base. But I've said, what makes this group such a special group is everybody here wants to win for the guy beside of them, whether that's a 98 or a 00. And I said, when I went to Victory Lane and saw Riley in Victory Lane at Vegas. And I was just as happy, honestly, than if the 00 had won that day, And so I think as long as that's the mindset here, that's a fun place to be. And of course, as we all get better, as the one gets better, the other one's going to get better too. And I don't think you stay behind as long as you're working together and trying to strive to get there together.
And keeping that continuity, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard Cole has announced he's coming back to the Xfinity Series for 24. And that continuity of keeping your group together, I believe Riley's back. So it's kind of the same group continuing to work forward, right?
Correct. Yeah. And like I say, that's what gets us excited. We know that this is this year, we was fortunate enough to get a championship. And Riley, I'd say the last 4 or 5 races, I'm pretty sure he scored the most points of anybody. Had, however many top 5s it was in a row and won a race. So yeah, that makes you excited for next year, knowing that you got the same pieces of the puzzle is going to be there, and you can build on that and hopefully build into a strong 2024.
Jonathan, it was such a spectacular race from a racing's perspective. I know you wanted to go do like Riley did in Las Vegas and destroy the field and not have any pressure at the end. I get that. We're calling the race. I'm a race fan. When they're 3 wide coming to the white flag with the other competitor right behind them, and I want to talk about turns 3 and 4, that white flag. What was your take on the way Cole got through turns 3 and 4? What was your take? Because where I sat, it was like, holy cow, he got through turn 3 and 4 3 seconds better than anyone else. I know I'm exaggerating. What was your take, and what did you see there when you were watching that right in front of you, the way it lays out in Phoenix?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think I talked to Wayne Alton, the series director, on Sunday morning, and he said, we actually had all 4 cars was pretty much 4 wide coming off of turn 2. So, that was from a spectator and a fan standpoint, of course, you got to appreciate that. Sitting where we was at, I probably would have rather that caution not come out. I think that would have been, the stress level would have been a lot less. But I had confidence in Cole, and, and he had been getting through 3 and 4 good all night long. That's kind of where we was making our money, I guess you would say. So, I felt like if we could come off a turn 2 on the bottom, and in which he did, fortunately, he was able to, that 3 and 4 was going to be our strong suit, and we'd be able to declare him. But man, he just that was a a Michael Jordan last second shot type move, I guess you'd say, through 3 and 4, and he laid it all on the line, and it stuck, and we was very fortunate to get back around there and get the checkered flag.
Yeah, that car scored it out in 3 and 4 because it came down in there, and where we sit is the pit box is right. We're all right there. We can watch 3 and 4, and the way that car just kind of, and he talked about, he just got it pointed perfectly so he could get on the gas quicker than everyone else, and that car just scored it out of the pack, and it was like, holy cow, man, it was impressive. It really was impressive indeed. From backward and on fire at Martinsville to getting the win at Phoenix. What a finish to the season. And Jonathan, your first year around the horn as a crew chief, congratulations on the championship, and I hope you get a chance to enjoy the accolades a little bit during the offseason as well.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me on, and like I say, looking forward to celebrating and get 2024 started here before too long.
Like a racer. We're going to celebrate for just a little bit, and then we're going to work a whole lot harder when we go to next year. Jonathan, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
There we go. Jonathan Toney joining us from Stewart-Haas Racing. Stay with us. When we come back, Rich Lushes from up at ThorSport. He joins us next. Welcome back. It's Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Steve Post and Todd Gordon here, and one of my favorite guys to catch up with in the garage area joins us now via the Zoom call. He is the champion for the second time in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from up at ThorSport. Rich Lushes joins us. Hello, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing really, really good. Congratulations are in order. I think a one-time crew chief is quite the accomplishment, but you're starting to get into some high cotton as far as a two-time championship winning crew chief. It's got to feel personally pretty satisfying.
It actually does. You know, I was on the radio with Claire there on Friday night after the race, and she was telling me the list of crew chiefs I joined, and it was hard to believe that, you know, somebody from Akron, Ohio could be on that group with them.
And to step in, I'll go to it. We talked a little bit off air, but you step back into, there was a crew chief shuffle 2 years, as you talked about, won the championship in 21, finished second in the championship last year. I thought a great strategy call, put yourself in a position where you had an opportunity to win it last year. Shuffled the crew chief deck this year, but put you and Ben back together at Bristol and worked your magic again.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows you got to believe in what Duke Thorson has, the plan he has in place. And, you know, at the beginning of this season, I got switched over to Haley, and we had Haley for about 19 races. And then got switched over to Ben, right, like you said, right before Bristol. And for whatever reason, me and Ben just click, and it works, and it all worked out well.
Is it sort of like when you got on the radio with Ben at Bristol, is it like they say, riding a bike? Is it sort of like, okay, and Ben's like, okay. Was that what it was like when you guys joined back together at Bristol?
Yeah, we didn't miss a beat. We all season long, we still talked, and he helped out a bunch with Haley, and we bounced things off him, you know, with her. And so, yeah, like we didn't miss a beat. You know, it was like you said, riding a bicycle. And for whatever reason, like I said, we work really well together. I understand how to get in his head, and it all works out.
I think the piece that I look back, like last year championship race, I think it was a 2-tire call late or a stay out call. You were on a different strategy there. Put yourself in a position where you almost took advantage of it. And then we looked to this year. You came in for basically the third round of the playoffs. A great call. I mean, a gutsy call by you. Put yourself in position at Homestead to tie for the fourth points position. And the finish at Homestead, I think, was a tiebreaker. Talk about what it was to, you know, the strategy sides of the pieces and how you sit on the box and make those calls.
Well, Todd, you've been doing this long enough. You know how it works. Going into Homestead, I just had a plan in place, you know, and I know this thing usually goes long, green flag runs at the end. So I like making those calls, and I putting Ben in a situation where he's got a shot to, you know, win the race, or obviously this one to advance to the next round. Because I know too that whatever position I put him in and whatever I do for him, he's gonna make the most of it and give me everything he has. And like you said about at Phoenix last year, it was a 2-tire call at the end of the race because we were about a 10th place truck, and that's all we had. So tried to do something different than the leaders did, obviously, and we were half a corner away from making it pay off.
Yeah, it definitely was. And talk about just, are those pieces that you pretty much have pre-planned out before you come into the weekend, or are those gut calls that just as a race plays out, you react to?
A little bit of both. You know, obviously you got to look at trends. You know, Larry Mack's always talking about the trends, and so you got to look at trends. And so I always do that a lot and do a little bit of homework before we go to the race and have some type of plan in my head what we're going to do. But then you got to go with your gut. You know, the experience, I think, pays off, and just going with a gut feeling and making it all work.
So how much gas did you have left at the end of the race at Homestead? I don't mean to back up a race. I know you won a championship at Phoenix, but I really think Homestead was the call that put you in position to be able to win his championship.
No, I agree for sure. Homestead was definitely a race to put us in position, to win this championship. And he actually ran out of gas coming off of Ford to take the checkered. I knew it was going to be close, but I never once told him on the radio to save because I didn't want him to back down. We had to get track position.
Yeah, it's like go fast but slow down. Go fast but slow down. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. It really, truly is. Let's talk a little bit about this race at Phoenix this past weekend, Rich. In complete honesty, overall, big picture, it was a little ugly at times. It really, truly was. What was your guys? How did you guys stay out of the muck and the mire? Just kind of describe your approach to it, because there was about 2 trucks that didn't have anything really go off the rails too badly. Well, actually, you guys had a problem, but how did you stay out of it? How did you keep yourselves alive as far as that championship goes on Friday night?
We kind of went into that mindset in the race before the race even started. Me and Ben were talking all week leading up to it about, you got Carson and you got Corey Heim that are pretty young and pretty hungry, and they've been fast all year. And I knew they were going to be, trying to take advantage of every situation. So we kind of just tried to stay our own race and, and do what we could do with our truck and try to make sure that we were put ourselves in the best situation. So we just tried to focus on us and not focus on anybody else. And luckily, being there now 3 years in a row, we had that experience to where just got to keep Ben calm enough during the race to make smart moves and, put ourselves in position at the end.
Yeah, really good. Really good. And talk about just the anxiety and mental aspect of all of the green, white checker situations and where that all played out for you guys.
I usually try to stay pretty level-headed on the box, but I was getting pretty irate there at the end. We had to go 2 miles is all we had to do, 2 laps, and we were done. And so I was getting pretty mad and pretty upset, but couldn't show Ben that or explain that to Ben. So, but it all worked out. It was frustrating, like you said, Steve. The race was terrible, honestly. I've seen better races at local short tracks, but. All in all, hopefully we can move forward in the truck series and not worry about that anymore for next year.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a wake-up call there as far as that goes. We've talked about this. We talked about Phoenix last year. We talked about Homestead. How deep in the weeds does Ben like to get in this? Is it that trust factor, or does he kind of like to know all of the details on what you're doing? How do you blend that with your driver?
It's a little bit of both, actually. He likes to know some setup stuff and likes to know what's going on and likes to have a little bit of idea what I'm going to do for strategy, but I don't have to tell him everything. And then whatever situation I put him in, he has enough faith in me that we make the best of it.
No doubt.
Yeah, really cool. Really cool. And so as you come off of this is the second time in 3 years you've won a championship, second last year. As ThorSport, what does the off season entail? How does a truck team we say off season. I like it. I listened to Elton Sawyer on Monday. He said the non-racing season, right? It's not really an off season, but what does the next 2 months happen for you guys?
Well, just like you said, there is no off season. So Saturday morning, me and Ben got up. We were still in Phoenix, and me and him drove to Yuma and actually tested a dirt car Sunday morning in Yuma just to try to get some more laps on a dirt field. So there is no off season, but then. I got home yesterday morning about 8 a.m. from the West Coast, so I was pretty spent at that point. But came into work today, and we're just focused on trying to get stuff prepared and how we can make things better for next year. Right now, obviously, we're getting ready for the banquet, and we're going to have an open house here at ThorSport on December 13th and have a parade here in Sandusky again like we had in 2021. So we're just focused on that stuff right now and then get focused on 100% heading towards 2024.
Man, I'll tell you what. Sandusky, Ohio, rolling out the street for the home team, and really cool stuff. Rich, always enjoy your candor and talking, whether we're leaning up against a stack of good years or now joining us here on Crew Call. We appreciate your time. Congratulations. Good things happening to good people, and congratulations. Enjoy the championship.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was great talking to you.
There we go. Rich Lushes joining us from up at ThorSport. Stay with us. More Crew Call in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Todd Gordon and Steve Post wrapping it up, this time talking about the Xfinity Series and Truck Series. Next week on the program, we'll get with Jonathan Hassler and talk about his Cup Series championship up at Team Penske. But when we look at it, Ben Rhodes and Cole Custer are the championship drivers. I shared this a little bit off mic with when we were talking to Jonathan. Cole Custer has just endeared himself to us. He 4 or 5 times a year will come up and sit in the booth with us and do a Truck Series race. And when he first did it, we're like, man, this quiet kid, what's he going to say? What's he going to offer? And we have a lot of fun on the MRN broadcast. Those of you who go to the racetrack, you know that during the commercial breaks, we have a lot of fun. And so when we get someone new, it's kind of like we tiptoe into the shenanigans. So we did our first race with Cole, and we tiptoed in. By the end of the day, we were in mid-season form and everything else. We got to like the second race, and we get to the first commercial break, and Cole, I think it was Moody, just laid Moody right out on the Q channel and said, we're going to be all right with Cole. We're going to be fine with him. He just has become part of our family.
Yeah.
And I know that we cover this sport and we cover everybody and we have respect for all of the drivers and we don't cheer for anybody. We love a good race. But there was a little extra pride that an MRN broadcaster won that Xfinity Series championship. Yeah. I like that.
But. Yeah, it's pretty cool and deserving, as Jonathan talked about. Rather not see that caution. He was leading the race.
Yeah.
So, did a great job. What a phenomenal race that was.
Yeah.
To be
was so good.
To just a competition. Those guys all elevating and coming forward. Yeah. Made up for what we saw on Friday night.
Well, I shared that Elton's message in the drivers' meeting was don't be like Friday night. Elton also said what we saw yesterday was what we want.
Yep.
So we had both. I actually think we may have had we had both extremes.
Yeah,
we really did. But we ended up with 2 really good champions in the Xfinity Series with Ben Rhodes and great stories. Rich Lushes. I mean, Rich Lushes, you want to talk about short track. If Rich Lushes wasn't doing this for Ben Rhodes, he would be at a short track. He'll be at a dirt track. He'd be doing something. That is just racer. Jonathan Toney, man, just his gratitude for getting paid to go to the racetrack for all these years.
Yep.
We have great crew chiefs, great drivers, great teams with ThorSport and Stewart-Haas Racing getting championships. Really, really good season in these series.
Yeah, you got to love the cap on the 75th season. Yep. I think all the storylines are in the right places, and congratulations to Ben Rhodes and Rich on manufacturing their opportunity.
Yeah,
they've done that through years. They did it again. I talked to him about it. Rich has done a great job with it. Yeah. Ben believes in him, and that helps a lot. But Jonathan Toney coming in here as a rookie crew chief, but a 20-year veteran of Stewart-Haas Racing, and Cole Custer stepping back from the Cup Series.
Yeah.
And getting it done.
Yep, no doubt. Great champions, that's for sure. And we do appreciate Jonathan and Rich joining us here on the program. We'll talk a little bit next week. We're going to talk all the Cup Series stuff. But, I know I had just shared with us that we don't have favorites, but there is connections with Cole Custer. You even said last week, I know I'm a little biased, Team Penske. Yeah. Can't wait to talk to Jonathan Hassler next week on the program.
Yeah, it'd be great. It's kudos to Jonathan and Ryan and the whole Team Penske group, and it'll be great to talk to him about the path that's been there. It's been diverted a few times for Jonathan, and definitely taking advantage of the situation.
Really, truly is. That's for sure. So next week on the program, Jonathan Hassler from up at Team Penske. Again, we do appreciate Jonathan Toney and Rich Lushes for joining us here on the program. But more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here this time on Crew Call.